Media production. Today, we're really excited to welcome New York Times, USA Today, and Wall Street Journal bestselling author Jennifer Probst. Jennifer has written Sex on the Beach series, the Marriage to a Billionaire series, the Seal Brothers series that only names a few, and releasing today, yay, is Searching for Mine, a searching for novella from 1001 Dark Nights. Welcome, Jennifer.
Yay.
Happy Pub Day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me here on my book birthday. I don't think it gets any better than celebrating with you and the readers. Better than going out to dinner with my hubby.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree. Sorry, honey. Um, so tell me about Searching for Mine, which is a searching for novella, and where in the series does this pick up?
This is actually novella book number 5 in the series. But
Okay.
what I love to do for all my readers is I write each as a standalone. I'm one of these readers that going back to the Nora Roberts days where she write those trilogies and I could dive in at 2 or 3 and then go back and read it. I kind of say, whatever book you pick up, I want to hook you. And then you get interested enough to go back and read the other characters. So this book was special because Searching for Perfect was the book that came out last year. Actually, oh my God, no, 2014. I'm losing time. Yeah, 2014. And it was about my geek, Beauty Meets the Geek book. He was my rocket scientist, social nightmare. And one of his problems was his older brother, Connor, who treated women horribly, very chauvinistic, called them, thought that he would only compliment their looks, didn't think anything about their brain. He was chauvinistic. There's a past in there, but basically he was very scream-worthy in a not good way. And when my editor read him, the first thing she said was, "Oh, this is not going to be a hero for another book." And I laughed and I said, "Oh no, he's just a funny secondary character." Well, enter the readers who email after email, "Well, where's Connor's story? Connor has to have a happy ever after." So I call him the anti-hero because he is the opposite of every romantic hero that is out there in the world. So of course this intrigued me. And I said, how can I not write this story? Because he's almost like this average guy who's gotten screwed up along the way. And it would be, oh, sorry guys. It would be nice to see him get his happy ever after. So I took it as a challenge. And I was really, really thrilled when 1001 Dark Nights invited me to write for them. And I knew this was the perfect installment for it.
Oh, that's awesome. And plus, let's be honest, everyone loves a bad boy possibly turned good, or at least with a happy ending.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something a little different.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how did 1001 Dark Nights approach you, and how did you get involved with them?
Well, first, I've seen their advertising everywhere, and I knew their authors on the first year. I'm very blessed to have a stable of authors I consider friends. And once I saw that they were working in them, I was so intrigued. It was such an original idea because they take these best-selling authors with these popular series and they spotlight one novella in the series. So you have this option of hooking all these readers. You also have an option of doing something short. And I know with our deadlines, I'm on deadline after deadline. Doing a novella is such a breath of fresh air for me. And I find it just as challenging to write short as long because you've got to deliver this whole story within it. So I was really thrilled when I made it known through the grapevine, boy, I would like to write with them. And sure enough, Liz approached me. We had Liz Berry. We had a great phone call. I absolutely fell in love with her. She is just like one of the smartest, interesting, perfect people out there.
And I'm sure
she
she's
signed me
watching
for
right now because
2016.
she is here listening. So hi, Liz.
Oh yeah, no, I just love Liz. I really do. So we just kind of connected right away, and it was really exciting to be in this stable. And there's so much author support, and that's also a new thing that the business does is we rely on all this networking because honestly, you have no idea. I pretty much was already reading all of the stories from these authors in 1001 Dark Nights. So they already had the readership there. It just brought it to a new level.
Yeah, and it is such a unique take on it and a great niche almost that they fill. It's a really great idea. I'm glad that you got involved.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh,
have
and BTW, the parties are awesome.
the
The
parties,
RT
that's
parties,
great.
like the Vegas, yeah, the parties are really, really cool.
I was just going to ask you, have you been in touch with any of the other authors that have participated in A Thousand and One Dark Nights? Have you spoken to them or asked for advice, anything like that?
Well, I didn't really need advice because it's pretty clear cut. They give you so much information exactly what you're going to need to do.
Oh, great.
But yeah, I am friends with a lot of people in there. One of the authors this year is Laura Lynn Page. There's Jay Kenner. There's Kristen Proby, who I love. I could just go on and on. They just have a stable of really smart, talented authors that I was reading already. So it's Laura Kay. I'm just excited to be part of it. I really am.
That's awesome. So stepping back a little background on you, what was your journey like to becoming an author? Did you know you always wanted to write? How did you get into it?
Yeah, I was one of these long term, always knew that I was going to be a writer. I pretty much knew at 6. I just, at 7 years old, I was telling everybody, well, as soon as I can finish a book, I'm going to get it published.
Hmm.
So I had my true north already. I find myself very lucky that I found a passion like that kept me going. And I wrote my first book at 12 years old. I wrote literally 3 to 4 manuscripts, 12, 14, 15, and 16. I didn't date much. I just wrote. So yeah, it ended up okay. I found my prince. So, but not in high school. Yeah, but I mean, this journey for me was 30 years in the making. If you think that I wrote my first book at 12, young adult romance, and then at 21, I started writing adult romance. And my first book was published when I was about 32 and sold maybe, I don't know, 50 copies. And then I kept going and, I hit over 40. And then all of a sudden, my breakout book, The Marriage Bargain, hit. So
Mm.
I really got a kick out of everybody saying that it was this overnight success. I was waving my hands going, dudes, I've been here. I've been here for 30 years. But, it's kind of like the right book at the right time.
Yes.
I had done my job. I had done tons of craft work. I was always reading up, attending workshops. I'm
Mm.
just one of these big advocates of it's not an overnight thing for most people. You have the overnight breakouts and that's great, but most of it is like a really long road. And I think that's okay because that weeds out the people who just want to hit one book big or,
Right.
it keeps the really passionate long-term career authors going. And I
Absolutely.
always came back to that. Yeah, I'm like, this is a career, it's not a sprint. And who cares if it's my 20th book? One's gonna hit.
Yes.
And eventually it did.
Absolutely. Well, I am a personal fan of the Marriage to a Billionaire series. I read The Marriage Bargain and
Thank you.
loved it. Um,
Thank you.
how do you, in talking about your series, how do you decide when a series will end? And when you do end it, are there always thoughts moving around even after you've written the last book where you say, maybe I can add to it. Maybe one day I'll write it for it again.
Yeah, I love that question because authors are so big into writing series now.
Yeah.
And I knew when I did the Marriage to a Billionaire series, I knew that the concept was going to be about marriage of conveniences because that was my passionate trope of choice. I couldn't get enough of it and I couldn't
I love that.
find enough books out there. So I said, I'm going to write them myself.
Yeah.
But what had happened is at the end, after the fourth book in it, I had literally run out of options, of fresh options of making a marriage of convenience work. So
Okay.
as an author, you kind of have to know the right time to exit. So
Mm.
what I did is I was still so impassioned about the characters. I thought, let's do a spin-off series. So I get to still see and check on all the older characters, but I get these fresh new characters. And I went from marriage to dating. And that's where the Searching for series came. Searching for
Okay.
Someday begins at the end of the marriage merger. At the end of the marriage merger, the book of spells is
Yeah.
packed up and sent out into the world. And in the beginning of Searching for Someday, you meet my heroine, Kate, and she's unpacking a box in the secondhand used bookstore and gets this shock. It's the Book of Spells.
Oh my
And
God.
it's been passed on to a new generation in a new place. And it's more about dating and matchmaking. And, I wanted to explore dating as such a huge component of a woman's life. I wanted to explore that rather than marriage.
Absolutely.
So that became almost a spin-off, but I was able to introduce the older characters in there and I made a connection. Alexa from the Marriage Bargain had two twin sisters who were 16 at the time. Well, advanced 10 years later, and they're getting their own story. Genevieve already had her own story with Wolf and Searching for Beautiful. So again, I like to hook things up, but a reader can dive in at any time. And
Absolutely.
about going back, you're absolutely right. Now I have this wonderful idea for a Mama Conti book. She's kind of like the matriarch mentor in the Marriage to a Billionaire
Mhm.
series and the Searching for series. I'd like to go back and write her story when she met her husband, and I'd like to give a story to the last daughter. So when I'm a big proponent of when the time is right, you may be able to dust off that series because you have a fresher perspective. I've had a couple of years now where I've taken a break from that. So I may be able to go back and maybe add another installment here and there, and it will be fresh because I do not like writing books that are not the best they can be for the readers.
Oh, so interesting. That's really great. And the Searching For series sounds like it's also right up my alley. So I have a new series.
Oh,
Um,
darling, you are going to love that.
oh, good.
I had even more fun. I think actually the Searching For series, in a way, is even better because you will hear that from an author. You do get better. You get better with craft, you get better with books, you go a little bit deeper. So it's always fun to look back and see how I've grown.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. I look forward to it. Um, Now, you also write, I was just pilfering through your website a little. You also write
Yeah.
for the whole family. You have a children's book on your website and a memoir of a shelter dog, which is absolutely just adorable. Were those books that you just had swirling around and wanted to just get them out there? Or do you want to do more? Do you always have more ideas like that kind of in the wheel?
Well, unfortunately, which I can't say unfortunately is probably a good thing, but I am so ADD with ideas. I would have enough ideas to write for the next 500 years, I feel like, which is a very good thing.
Absolutely.
But I think what had happened is I actually wrote a life worth living. Oop,
You're still with me.
yeah, okay. Can you see?
I
Okay.
can. You're
Sorry,
still
guys.
on
It's the
screen.
desktop thingy.
Oh, it's tough, but you're still on
Okay.
screen. We can still hear you.
I'm coming. I'm coming back. It's this, if I don't move the desktop,
Oh, it goes to
it
sleep.
just,
Yeah.
it goes to sleep. Exactly.
Well, we can still see and hear
Okay.
you. So
Okay. So I'm going to keep going.
good.
Um, what, okay. So before the romance books hit, I was very passionate about rescue dogs. That was like a whole big thing for me. And I decided that that was when self-publishing became like a big deal.
Yeah.
I decided that there was a story in my head because I have two shelter dogs, and I wanted to give them kind of like their own story. I had this dog voice that was kind of like echoing in my ear all the time and saying, "Don't write your romance book, write me." And so one day my girlfriend's like, "You have to write the dog. You have to write the dog or he's going to like torture you." And she was absolutely right. So one day I took 2 hours and I wrote this short story and it was in the perspective of the dog's voice and I didn't know what to do with it. I said, what am I going to do? I can't, sell it to somebody or a magazine or anything. So
Right.
what I did is I decided to self-publish it. And in that, I decided to take all of my proceeds, my royalties, I put it on the thing for 99 cents, and I gave it to my local dog shelter where I got my
Oh,
dogs.
that's amazing.
So imagine my surprise when I put it out there. It was just a very passionate project for me and a way to give back to my shelter to help them. When I think it was like 2 weeks later, I go on Amazon and there's, Caesar the dog whisperer. All of a sudden, he's there and my little self-pub book is over his.
Oh,
It's selling
so
tons of
exciting.
copies and it's in the top 1,000 of Amazon. And it's just, I can't tell you the reader mail I get on that. It's always ranked high and it's just such a love project for me.
That's amazing.
So one day, yes, there are more dog books to come. It's something
Okay.
that I really, really love to do. Something that I definitely want to keep going. And the children's book was just a passionate project also. I had a 12-year-old niece who gave me this wonderful story about this rabbit who dated a carrot and fell in love with this
Oh,
carrot that she named Buffy. And then during the storm, the crops all go away and he ends up eating the carrot. It's a very funny, the kids loved it. And I said, you know what? Let me write this book. Again, self-publish it. I had my girlfriend make the drawings. And it was just a fun way to get out an idea and touch other people who weren't reading my romance books. So
absolutely.
there's more to come. I would love if I have the time to write more on animals and more on children.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, speaking of self-publishing and how it's just taken off these past few years, and it's for many authors the only road that they choose to go down. What to you are some of the benefits or drawbacks? And I know that you publish through mainly publishing houses, but as you said, you have self-published. Do you like one more over the other, regardless of how you go about it?
That's another great question. Beth, can you still see me?
I can.
You can?
I
Okay,
can, yeah.
cool. Okay, because my computer's blank. As long as you can see me, we're good to go.
I see you and
Um, as you can see, I'm very tech challenged. Okay, I love this question because I can honestly say that I believe every author today should be both. They should be self-publishing, and I'm not saying, okay, when I say that, let me go back before I get a lot of people saying, what do you mean you should only do one? I was when the Marriage to a Bargain series hit big, it was with a digital only publisher called Entangled.
yeah.
Entangled decided to sell that to New York in a big traditional to Simon and
Okay.
Schuster. And Simon and Schuster literally bought out this digital series.
Okay.
So then I was with, a big New York pub.
Sure.
I adore Simon and Schuster. When I tell you my editor has helped me grow to levels that I don't think I could have achieved on my own, she's literally a genius. So working with her to me is worth everything. So with Simon and Schuster, I write those big 100,000 word books that take me a good
Mhm.
4 months and have secondary characters and all of that. My
Okay.
self-pubbing is my creative outlet. I feel like I can take more chances. I feel like I can write those books that maybe my brand or market wasn't exactly right for.
Right.
I feel very creatively free that way. And what I've decided to do is because I'm so busy writing all of these deadlines in different books,
Mhm.
I hooked up with a partner called Cool Gus Publishing. Basically, they do all my indie publishing. They do the formatting, the cover, the marketing, the editing, everything. I just have to write the book.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that works very well for me because if I'm doing a book sale and I have to go into 5 platforms and drop it to 99 cents, that's 2 hours of my work.
Right.
I can't afford to do that. I want to concentrate on the writing. For me, it was a great move because of my output. So I'll pretty much put out a Simon and Schuster book, and then you'll see me go undercover, and all of a sudden I'll have a novella out. Boom. And then I'll go back to my Simon and Schuster, and maybe I'll, do 2 more novellas in between. So I just love it because it gives me the best of both worlds.
Very interesting. Okay. What for you is the hardest part of your writing process? Is there anything that hangs you up each time you go to sit down to start, or is there anything that maybe you've mastered over the years that did hang you up and now you're a pro at it?
I think for me and for a lot of writers, it's a time crunch. It's so funny because when I was writing pretty much full time and my kids were young, I would have little snatches of time when I was the literal professional at SpongeBob. 28 minutes I had from start to finish, and I could write like 650
Oh
words.
my goodness.
And then before, and if it was a double dose of SpongeBob and Dora, and I know, trust me, like the Nickelodeon channels, now it's Paw Patrol and all the ones that I don't know anymore. But what I learned was if I didn't take the time that I had and was really serious with it, there would be no time because my
Right.
kids were so demanding. They were little at the time. Now they're in school for 6 hours. You would think with 6 hours, I would be like eating bonbons and like writing a book a week from what I did. But what happens with time is the more you have, the more you fill. And this job is so filled with a typical day for me when my husband comes home, my poor husband, I torture him. He comes home and I follow him right away and I go, honey, how many words do you think I wrote today? And he goes, do we have to do this today? And I go, no, I want you to ask me. How many words? How many words? One, honey. I wrote one word today, but all day I was working on copy edits and blog posts and promo and a million other things because I'm a business unto myself.
Right.
So you can actually do 6 to 8 hours a day and not write a new word. So to me, I've got to come back every single day, write the new words, or the books aren't going out. And
Right.
that's a huge deal to me. So it's something I always struggle with. Some days are better than others. I did the same thing today. I wrote, I think it was about 1,500 words today, but I need 3K before I go to bed tonight. So after this fabulous interview, even though it's my release day, I am going to stay up and write my 1,500 words, or I'm going to
Okay.
be really behind the eight ball. So
Okay.
that's just a little, there's more, but that would be my biggest hurdle, I think. And I think other authors probably feel the same way about time.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting. What about advice
All my secrets
from
are coming out.
and that wine looks delicious. Um, what about advice that you've gotten from, and even if whether it's asked or just come to you from maybe authors you look up to or people who you've seeked out their help? What's the best piece that has been given to you throughout your career?
I've heard there's been a lot of them. Nor, if you ever hear Nora Roberts speak or anything, and I stalk her, of course, like every other, but I've been to about 10 of her intimate chats, and pretty much like 80% of the questions have been asked, and I can still hear it again. But from her, I learned treat it like a job. It's a job. It's not, she's her hardest boss. She doesn't take sick days. She doesn't, you just can't treat it like a fun hobby or it will be a hobby.
Right.
So my life started turning around when I got really hardcore with myself and I said, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter if I'm working for free right now. I need to treat it like a job. And the second best advice I ever get is by the other author that I stalk. Sorry. Yes, I'm a stalker. Susan Elizabeth Phillips, who is my, contemporary romance queen, I call
Mhm.
her. Whenever you do a workshop with her, she does a great one with Jane Ann Krenz that she does at RWA every year.
Okay.
Protect the work. I say it over and over again. If you're on Facebook too long and you're struggling with your story and you see like 18 posts of writers that said, oh, I did 5K today. I
Mhm.
got a film made. I finished my book today. It actually starts to drain you because you
Right.
start comparing yourself, not about jealousy, just about, oh my God, I can't even get through one page.
Right.
So you need to go back, you need to deplug, and you need to go back to the work. I've had terrible things happen to me that have just depressed me, and I want to go to bed, and instead I deplug, I go back to my manuscript, my work in progress, and I clear the mechanism, like Kevin Costner says in his baseball, for the love of the game. That's another one of my mottos. I go back to the work. So she always says, protect the work because that's all you have going for you is your own work. So those are the two big ones that I always say.
So, do you, going back to the advice that Nora Roberts gave you, or that you've heard from her, do do you think that at a certain point it's just become a job, or do you still consider it that your job is your love? You know how sometimes when it becomes your job, it ends up moving out of the realm of something you love to do like a hobby and just becomes a job, or do you have the best of both worlds?
I'm lucky. I have the best of both worlds because I've been wanting to do this since I was young.
Okay.
So it's a little different for me. My entire life of those 30 years, I worked huge major day jobs. I mean, which was wonderful. I mean, I was a business executive assistant and I ran a college school
Mm,
and I've done amazing things. And when you do that, you learn confidence, you learn business skills, you learn all the things that I think make me successful in this job as a writer now because you don't just write, you're a business person.
right.
But my entire life, this has been my dream to be able to get up in the morning and write all day. So when the marriage bargain broke out and I was able to write full time, I am going to be honest, I get up every day and I say a prayer of thanks. I just say, thank you for letting me be here because I just would never take this for granted. You
Right.
just never know when things are going to change. And I think that's for everybody. If you're at a good place, it's kind of like just be really grateful for where you are because I've been in the other place and I've made the best of it. But to be here after all these years, there's just nothing I can say about it. So every day is it's a passion for me. I'm very
Great.
grateful.
Well, that's inspiring to hear and excellent.
I sound like I'm going on Oprah.
Hey, maybe Oprah's watching us. Who knows? What about write your where you write or the place that you choose to write? What is your writing space like?
When I was, I called my old house. I'm in a house that me and my husband, again, were very, very lucky to build. But in my old house, when my kids were in diapers and I had two rescue dogs, we called it Crap
Oh
House.
my goodness.
That's so bad. But it was a house full of love. It really was. But like literally, I wrote facing a wall on a dilapidated desk on an ancient like computer, and it was always cold or hot because the windows were drafty.
Oh goodness.
And my kids would play in there, and I had laundry behind the used couch. But you know what? I learned to write like that. So to me, that was the best. I didn't have a cushy office with a view like I have now. So I say, learn to write in the worst atmosphere ever, and then you're only going to go up, guys. Like,
Absolutely.
so I have a beautiful office. I have an inspiration wall that inspires me. I have my book covers on the wall. I have my desk is full of all my knickknacks, my bookshelves. My office is my safe haven. So this is where I come. And every day that I open the door and put my coffee mug on the warmer, to me, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
So this is my day job. This is my workspace. This is sacred to me. I keep it sacred. And even though my kids are still in and out and mommy, get me milk. Where's your father? In the kitchen by the refrigerator, but he's busy. You need to do it. Okay. Mommy's writing a book, but that's
Right.
okay. I'm used to it. They still respect that this is my office and I love everything about it. So this is where I do all of my work. I don't work as well on a laptop. I can though, but this is where I'm very happy.
Okay. What about, I know you've mentioned Nora Roberts now a few times, but would she be your kind of who you fangirl over? Or do you have an author right now that you're like really fangirling about and absolutely can't get enough of?
I have so many that I love. Nora Roberts to me represents somebody who has been there since I picked up my very first book.
Hmm.
And she introduced the concept of series, I feel, with her trilogies that
Absolutely.
became like so amazing. And last year, I was honored to sign books at her bookstore, the Turn the Page in Boonesboro.
Oh,
And it just doesn't, I mean, I don't even think I can talk about it. Like, it's like there's so many authors that post like their dream has come true. They're signing next to Nora Roberts. So to me, she's an inspiration of what you can accomplish. Again, Susan Elizabeth Phillips, because when I read her, I wanted to be like her. I didn't want to copy her, but I wanted to carve out. She's got a very unique voice and she's very funny, and I'm very attracted to those type of books.
okay.
But to be honest, Beth, I stalk so many authors. Like, I would be arrested if I told you the long line of authors that I stalk. I really would.
Uh,
So I'm going to keep it very on the hush hush.
okay.
But you have no idea how much I respect so many. I read a book a night. I mean, when my
Wow.
computer goes off, I sit with my husband and we watch TV, and I'm up to about 11:30. I read for 2 hours a night. So I get aggravated when people say, oh, I'm a writer, but I never read. I don't have time. No, if you're a writer, you need to be a reader. And that's how I keep up with all
Right.
the stuff that I know that I love.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So to me, it goes hand in hand.
Okay. Do you have a wish list or a writing goals list of topics that you haven't covered or that you know, like I'm gonna get to that series at some point? Is that maybe always growing, or is there things that you have yet to tackle yet?
Yeah, that's why I think this career is like the best career ever. I mean, who gets to do this? I have, sometimes in the middle of the night I'll wake up. I will tell you, I'm very excited about a project that last year on New Year's, this is very interesting. And that last year on New Year's Day, I woke up and I had the month of January, as I call off in quotes, which means I didn't have a hardcore deadline.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna experiment a little bit. Well, New Year's Day, I was haunted by long rolling passages of a writing book that I had that has been 30 years in the making.
Oh,
I'm a voracious reader on writing craft. I believe that all writers should be reading craft books,
okay.
whether it's social promo or whatever. I love learning about this career. And I've always wanted to do it on my own, write my own writing book with my unique voice. Well, I guess last year of New Year's Day was the time. So I literally sat down on my free month and for a month I wrote out, these outlines and these chapters. So I was really excited when the book sold to Writer's Digest and it's coming out next year and it's called Write Naked. And it's a nonfiction writing book for romance writers and women fiction authors.
Oh, I love
So
that.
yeah, so that is what I mean, though. There is never, I'm always writing something, or I'll be like, oh my God, I have this great idea for this erotic series. And I have this fabulous women's fiction book called The Italian Affair that I'm ready to write.
Ooh.
It's going to be like these, three generations of women touring Italy and having these fabulous relationships and stuff. Because I went with my aunt and my mother and my niece to Italy and I assigned them all a character role. I'm like, I'm writing this book. You're going to be this one. You're going to be write that one. And my mom was like, oh, don't make me the slut.
Okay, mom.
Like, it's so my mom. It's just so going back because I ramble. Yeah, I have a long list of ideas. And I think when the right time comes, they will be ready to be written.
Fantastic. Well, that's exciting, and I can't wait to read that series. Um, Speaking of can't
Thank
wait
you.
to read, what is next for you? Do you have a new series or new books coming into a current series? What do you have coming down the pike for 2016?
Okay, so the big new one is in May. I think it's May 29th is my actual release date. I'm starting a brand new series. Again, I'm trying to mix it up. I'm a huge HGTV fan.
Love it.
Me and my husband watch House Hunters. I'm obsessed with Property Brothers. I'm obsessed with all the renovations. Maybe because we built our house too, so I saw from ground one like it could drive you insane, absolutely insane, but with love. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to write a new series about sibling contractors, hot contractor
Mhm.
brothers? So it's called the Billionaire Builder series, and it's about three brothers who own this contracting business. And one does the construction, and one does all the woodwork, and one does the flipping houses and the design. And it's been one of the most fun projects that I've ever done. So the first one in the series comes out May 29th.
Okay.
It's called Everywhere and Every Way. And I really think it's going to give the readers something fresh because I'm all about that. I'm like, let's do something that we haven't really seen
Yeah.
before. So I'm really excited to share it with everybody.
Well, that's going in my Amazon wish list. Sounds
Good.
awesome.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but we have run out of
Are we
time.
out of time?
We are. I hate it every single time. Thank you
I could do
so.
another hour with you.
All right, all right, here we go. um, Thank you so much for being here, Jennifer. This has been so fun. Happy Pub Day again. Thank you for joining us on
Thank
such a
you.
big day and 1001 Dark Nights. Searching for My novella. Go download it, order it, whatever you got to do, go for it. But thank you so much,
Thank
Jennifer.
you
This is so
so
fun.
much, guys.
Have a great
Okay.
night,
Mwah.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.